I call to order the Etna Township Board of Trustees regular meeting here on Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024 at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Here.
Mr. Burkholder?
Here.
Ms. McKee?
Here.
Ms. McKee, would you please lead us
Sure.
in
Absolutely.
invocation? Thank
Stand
you.
with me. Thank you. Bow heads. Heavenly Father, I thank you and praise you as the God and Father of the Lord Jesus Christ that you have blessed our township. Father, we pray every position held, appointed, and hired that is led and live and make the decisions with your wisdom and understanding for the best results and plan your divine will for all people. Let us lead the true servant's heart. Let integrity, honesty, and guide every decision as we look to you for divine help. Turn our hearts from distractions and temptation that could bring harm rather than help in our lives and our family and the people we serve. Enlighten our minds with discernment and wisdom. May we be moved by you, O God, in all things that we are for the good of the betterment of our township. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Is there a second? I'll second. Discussion?
Yes, I move to add under new business mosquito spray applications, and then also add to the adoption of minutes discussion on the 7/24, 7/25, and 8/12 minutes that were not included.
Is there a second to the amendment? Is there a second? Hearing none, the amendment fails. Further discussion on the main motion to adopt the agenda?
Yes, I don't understand why those simple items and required items to be addressed weren't added. There continue to be errors in the 7/24, 7/25, and 8/12 meeting minutes, and those are apparently not being addressed.
724, 725, and what was the other one, Mr. Evans?
8/12, the 3 minutes that I attempted to add to the agenda. And additionally, there's issues with mosquito spray applications. One street is being treated weekly, another street is being treated quite frequently, and all the other areas are being ignored. And I think we need to have a conversation as the township is suffering and we're getting a lot of complaints about mosquitoes.
Well, we've advised that those complaints be forwarded to the office, and I've not seen any or received any, so if you have any complaints, please forward those to the office. But we've addressed complaints that we've gotten, so.
Those have been forwarded and they have not been addressed, and I checked with the health department and their database of what they're actually doing, and those were not approved or addressed. So it's an ongoing issue that is being ignored.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
we have some minutes that have been corrected, which I reviewed. This is our motion to approve the 2024 6/12 special meeting draft corrected minutes. I will so move. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Evans. Discussion?
Yeah, those were corrected.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Stand approved. I'll move to approve 2024-618 minute drafts as corrected. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
Yes, there continue to be errors in those minutes.
And what were those errors, Mr. Evans?
They've been forwarded to Holly. And
I did look at those corrections that you sent, so was something missed?
Well, I sent corrections previously, and those weren't corrected properly, and I sent new corrections as, again, the 618, 722, 724, 725, and 812 still contain errors, and those have been forwarded today after I reviewed those. So my corrections are listed there.
Any further discussion on the 618 minutes? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Approved.
Did you realize you just approved minutes
Well, Mr.
that don't
Evans,
contain
Mr.
motions?
Evans, we had the corrections, we went ahead, and then you come back with more corrections. So
Because those were removed from the minutes. They're literally missing missing motions that you just approved.
were those,
I'm just trying to make sure there's correct minutes.
were those part of the original corrections you had? That you forwarded?
The order was, but then they were there, but then they were moved in this draft. So you just approved the ones that are missing the motions.
So what I was understanding, we fixed what we wanted to fix from the
No,
last. And then we moved those
a new error is in there with missing motions.
So, because I saw the correction.
We will bring
Okay, so
the,
let's pull that.
we'll bring this back at the next meeting.
So this one's,
And there's similar errors on the other minutes.
On the 24,
On
722.
22, 24, 25, and 812.
Move to table the 2024-0722 special draft until we can review those corrections as well. Is there a second to the table?
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
And are we going to rescind the approval for the 618?
Yes.
So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Public comments, 3 minutes. Please come to the podium, state your name and address. Please direct your comments to the board. And we have a big agenda tonight, so any response from the trustee, we can keep that under trustee comments so that we don't have a back and forth. Is there anyone that would like to speak at this time?
Judy Backmeyer, 29 Roma Court. Just wanted to say that 2 weeks ago, I went to the commissioners meeting where 5 more Licking County townships were approved for their exclusionary zone status, prohibiting large solar and wind plants from becoming part of their communities. And so within a 30-day period, those will be accepted, and we will be up to 7 out of 25 townships in Licking County that have approved these measures in order to maintain the rural atmospheres in their communities. Thank goodness. So that more and more of those townships and farmers are becoming aware of the nefarious selling by snake oil salesmen or fancy pamphlets that encourage them to sell their properties. And also, I want to thank whoever was involved in the roundabout at Mink and Refugee. Looks 1,000% better. So they've taken out all the big rocks and replaced them. So now we have matching ones between Mink and Refugee and the Parkway. So much improved. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else at this time?
Hi, guys. How are
Hi,
you today?
how are you?
Oh, just living a dream.
Please, sir, please come to the podium. If you have documents, please give them to the fiscal officer, and she'll distribute those.
You didn't pass them out last time.
I
Giving it to each guy.
have forwarded those on to the board.
I asked you to hand it to them, so now I know they got them.
I didn't receive anything.
Well, it's in your packet, Mr. Evans.
Name's Joe, I live in Etna.
Please give your last name and your address
I
too,
don't need
please.
to. Name's
Yes, sir,
Joe.
sir.
Name's Wagner Joe, and 12981 National Road.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, first thing is, this the public needs to know, I'm going to read it to you, Gary. It has been, I did it before, it's important. It's been recognized by law enforcement. Large unsecured quantities of sodium hypochlorite can be used as a base chemical to create a terrorist weapon by mixing other over-the-counter products and utilizing as a chemical weapon and as a gas to induce wide area of sickness, death, and fear, similar to the warfare used in World War I. Now, Gary, I called you before, you didn't reply. However, I texted you, and you did get back to me.
When did you call me?
I told you that last meeting.
Yeah, when? What date?
Well, that I will look up and I'll get back to you.
Okay, because I've checked my phone and I don't have any calls from you.
Not a problem.
But I did see your text today, though.
But yeah, and you did reply to me, and I'm trying to compliment you. With that, you did get back. I don't understand why, when you put it as a complaint, there's a lot of penalties, there's a lot of zoning violations here. I got it right here, I can go each one, but the fact is this, that sodium hypo you did nothing about in 2 weeks, and if you filed a complaint for the 28th, why it takes 2 weeks? And it shouldn't have to have me as a complaint when this has been going on for months. I'm not going to accuse you of cronyism, collusion, everything, but that guy over there is where you put your signs up and everything else. It has to be done. We're all in danger and risk. Now with that, I'm going to go from top 1 to 2. You got excessive signage. You're not enforcing it. You're paying guys over $100 an hour between 2 zoning guys. You just ran one off. Number 2, you got excessive signage. Look at your pamphlet. Number 3, self-explanatory. Number 4, and number 5, this is when the FBI comes in, Homeland Security. Every citizen is required, if you see terrorist stuff, to report it to the FBI or DHS. Now what am I supposed to do? Say, I reported it, and the president was lax, remiss, derelict? What do you want me to say? You've got to get on this, and you're not. And putting it on a complaint, what does that mean? Nothing is done. Just like nothing was done about mosquitoes, and people are getting bit the hell up. Just like a web page goes down. You didn't pay it. Now, number 5 is that. Number 6, you can readily see. Look at that. Don't need to look at me.
I've looked
Number
at these.
6.
It's right here.
Okay, number 6. It's not secured. What if the kid gets a red hold of that? What if some guy don't like this town puts muriatic acid with it? It's called chlorine gas. Read about it. And if I asked you about it, you wouldn't know. I'm not going to call you out like you just tried to call me. I sent this to you. If you have a concern, you tell me what sodium hypochlorite and acid does. You tell me, but you can't because you didn't look. Now either give a doggone about these citizens and do your job. I'm not trying to be an ass with you.
You have 30 seconds.
Of course you do. You're more, you know what? You ought to work the clock at a football game. You're pretty good at that. But you don't pay the timer. You don't pay the web page. You're not spraying mosquitoes. You run zoning guys off. You bring things in by committee. I mean, come on. You two, both of you. Rosin, you got to get on this and stop with the adversarial stuff. You talk about decorum. When I watch people argue up here, how about your decorum? I'm done. You don't have to throw me off.
Thank you.
There's a home game this week.
Anyone next? Please come to the podium, state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes.
Letitia McIntyre, 15 3rd Avenue Southwest in Etna. I come to you today as the president of the Etna Zoning Commission. There's been numerous Facebook posts by certain trustees alleging that the Zoning Commission has delayed process on several occasions. It has also been stated that I, as president, have not responded to said trustees' request for explanations. So today I have decided to state the truth in these matters, and I'm hoping I'm going to get this done in 3 minutes. I'm very sorry.
I think she's a zoning president of that board, and she needs to speak. I don't think we should time you because you're speaking for the township.
Thank you. for
Please
that,
proceed.
Thank you. We as a unified body on the commission strive to implement all tasks presented to us in a timely manner to the best of our ability. In the last 3 years, there have been changes that have affected the township. Not all are positive. In turn, these changes have directly caused our board to have some struggles this year due to tenured staff being forced to leave after years of employment due to hostile work environments. We lost our clerk, who efficiently helped handle processes in submitting motions to Licking County Planning Commission and to the prosecutor's office. Not only did that hurt our board, but also it hurt the daily operations of this township. We as a board follow protocol and answer to the trustees who have been set over us, both for the Zoning Commission and to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The trustee was Jeff Johnson and now is Gary Burkholder. We have worked with said trustees to continue to efficiently continue our work for the betterment of Etna Township. In our last meeting, we have had a public hearing concerning text amendments to Article 9, Sections 906 for LB, GB, AB districts. This was sent to LCPC, which is Licking County Planning Commission, and have been requested to revise some of the text before they would make those recommendations. We did revise those texts and send it back. When we received the recommendations from LCPC, we followed the process to hold a public hearing. Only a handful of people showed up at that open always to the public hearing. That did include Trustee Burkholder. While in our meeting, we discussed the recommendations that LCPC submitted to us with the zoning consultant, Lance Schultz. That meeting was on July 30th. Mr. Schultz recommended that we deny the text amendment and wait until the land use plan is complete to make these changes. We as a board have spent at least 2 years on this project. Our board decided, with the agreement of the zoning consultant, to contact LCPC to get clarification on what they wanted changed. Also, Dave Olson and Mr. Schultz agreed to meet to discuss changing codes back to the original format. We recessed the public hearing until the next meeting. So at the August 13th meeting, we reopened the public hearing. Mr. Schultz was asked if he had been able to contact LCPC as per our discussion on July 30th. He stated that he had not and probably would not be able to talk to them by our next regular second meeting in August. So we did confirm that Dave Olson had met with him and the discussion went well. Being that we had no new information, we decided to recess the public hearing again. We also discussed canceling our second meeting in August because we had nothing in the docket or agenda to discuss. We did agree with Mr. Schultz that if he was able to contact LCPC on this text amendment before our second meeting, we would go back and have that meeting move forward. All this is listed in the minutes for both meetings. Now, therefore, to state that we are needlessly delaying these processes is a false statement. To state that our meeting was canceled for no reason given is a false statement. To state that our board had erred in any way is a false statement. We as a board truly make our decisions for the good of Etna Township. We never want to make a hasty decision that will negatively impact our community. we do encourage the public to come to our meeting to see firsthand what we do and how we operate. We do not listen to the loudest voice in the room as some people do. Sometimes the truth is lost in the loudest voice. To find out the truth on your own, I encourage everyone to come to our meetings to see for yourself. Because all of our meetings have always been open to the public to come. I leave you with a couple of quotes. It says, don't get distracted by the loudest person in the room. Oftentimes, the person with the most power is quietest. Also, once you've matured, you realize silence is more powerful than proving a point. Also, trust is earned, respect is given, and loyalty is demonstrated. Betrayal of any of these is a loss of all three. I thank you for this opportunity to kind of set the record straight with our board, and we always are loyal to the township in doing what is best for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll respond later as indicated.
Thank you, sir.
Ryan Davis, 8807 Watkins Road. Mr. Evans finally posted the last two meetings between Sunday and Monday, so I was probably one of the few people that got to watch both meetings before the meeting tonight. I gave the trustees a picture of the editorialization of the meeting where Mark Evans put extra comments on top of everyone's faces about his motion to take over as president during the August 6th meeting. I felt that was very unprofessional. If he's doing this on behalf of the township and not Mark Evans, he wouldn't do that. So I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I'd like to read a quote from Facebook on December 5th, 2020. It says, please contact the Etna Township trustees and ask to implement streaming of all township meetings. This is to allow those that cannot attend due to COVID concerns to schedule, participate, and observe in the meetings. The streaming can be done in conjunction with in-person meetings. Many other government bodies have streaming, and the number of residents viewing is far greater than normal participating. I have requested via email in person and at last meeting, the live streaming. If they hear from other residents, maybe they will fulfill that request. I messed up a few words to make it a pure quote. But that was from a resident named Mark Evans on December 5th, 2020. A gentleman that pushed for streaming and archiving of meetings as his campaign platform in 2021, which I supported. You can't have it both ways. Last year you had no assigned duties. You did not bring a single proposal to the board to vote down to put streaming in this building. Shake your head all you want. Show me the quote. Show me where you propose to have a professional company come in here and set this up. Not this.
This is your time. I'll respond later.
That's all right. I just heard your head rattle. I just wanted to respond. So it's absolutely embarrassing to the township that you are doing this publicly. Okay, I wrote this line here. So how can you possibly believe that complaining online, in meetings, and in public could possibly encourage fellow trustees and anyone else to work with you? That is the root of all the problems. I'm only focusing on streaming because I've got 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Aubrey Hanson, 160 Roland Road. Until May of 2024, my dad, who is married to Nita Hanson, the former administrator, as Trustee Evans so often woofs about, chose to remain silent about Trustee Evans and Burkholder's attacks for the first year. Mom wanted to fight her own battle, and Dad asked us not to comment, which, if you know me, is extremely difficult. After my mom was forced into constructive dismissal and the township agreed to pay $80 grand for Trustee Evans' bullying, my parents assumed we could return to a normal life. It seems in Etna that unless Trustee Evans, the ogre of Etna, the Facebook bully, or baby Mark gets his way, there can be no peace. Sadly, Trustee Evans is only animated and functioning when he's attacking someone online or crying about something somebody said. He has one pattern to go with in his limited vocabulary of improper, shocking, outrageous, and illegal. In his pattern of BCD, the Evans way, which is blame, complain, and defend. I know we've talked about that in the past, with whatever he's done. Trustee Evans now adds desperate commentary of anyone disagreeing with him to public remarks in meeting videos, which we appreciate being called extraordinary, so thank you for that. Evans is the Kamala Harris of Etna Township. He's been here 2.5 years and accomplished nothing except fomenting hate and division. If you disagree with Mark or Kamala, you're not simply wrong, you're evil. Yeah, Mark and Kamala want us to believe that once they are in charge, everything will be fine. Where's the evidence that Trustee Evans can get along with anyone or even the people that helped him get to his position? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else at this time?
John Hanson, 51 Ridgewood Drive, Etna, Ohio. I'll have to get some quotes from you, Letitia. You know, as I've said before, I'm not without empathy for Trustee Evans or for anyone struggling with all his problems. In my earlier life, I shared a lot of the Evans abusive bullying persona in my own life. When I investigated all the problems, when I really looked inward, I thought it was unjust until I found they were all things either out of my control or things that were from my own thinking or actions. It is a harsh red pill to swallow, Mark. When you investigate your whining and complaining and you find out your actions and your words have brought you to where you are in your own life. Once I grasped this, I wrote a book called Good Debt, Bad Debt. Originally, I wrote it for my kids, but it was picked up by a Big Six publisher, produced in about 5 languages worldwide. The book is actually, it's personal finance for sure, but it's about stewardship, something Mr. Evans is devoid of. It is always sad to see a person that is just 1 or 2 skills away from full, successful life. When it comes to emotional regulation and getting along with others, Trustee Evans is clueless or at least developmentally delayed. Mr. Evans has so much potential if he would only take responsibility for his own words, actions, and deeds. For the last year, having studied abusive, toxic, sadistic, and destructive leadership for most of this year, there are some qualitative themes that come up often in my review of the last 30 books on the topics and a quick review of hundreds of academic researchers on this topic. Unbelievably, there's a Mark Evans in Brazil, in Dubai, in most countries across the world. The researchers show that the driver of abusive, toxic, and sadistic and destructive leadership is the fear of having their incompetency or laziness found out. This was from Wicker in her seminal book. She coined the term toxic leadership in 1996, Milosevic 2020, and Lipman Blue. I'll be posting all these academic papers. You don't need to take my
30 seconds.
Thank you. I will try and keep up with the research, and I'll be posting it, and possibly sometime later next month we will have a website up. It's still being vetted. But I appreciate it. And another quote that comes to mind right now is Robert Sutton, who is a big writer on this. And academically, he wrote a paper for Harvard Business Review, and he graciously calls these people jerks instead of a-holes. But he says that nasty people don't just make everyone miserable. They cost their organization thousands of dollars, and it's about $6 billion a year from bullying.
Your time just expired. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next, please?
Go ahead.
Steve Slide, 1372 Londondale Parkway. I'm here tonight because the last meeting I came to was in December of last year. And I stood at this podium and I looked over at Mr. Burkholder and I said, I hope the Gary from the past as a trustee is the Gary we see for Etna in the future. I'm proud to say that Gary is the one that is here today, the one that did a lot of growth for Etna Township in the past and did it responsibly. And I'm glad to see that Mark Evans was not able to spoil the experience that you were able to bring to Etna Township. I will go further, say I don't necessarily agree with every position that Gary Burkholder has taken, but I don't think we have to agree with everything everybody says it does. It's how you treat the person, how you respect the person that's in the role. I've known Gary Burkholder longer than a lot of people in this room. I've known you for over 25 years. I backed your campaign for county commissioner when I was on the school board. And if you were to run again today, I would likely back that campaign. The thing is, Mr. Evans has spent a career as Etna Township trustee of alienated everybody he runs into. He had Mr. Burkholder as a supporter. Shortly after coming onto the board, he loses that support. He had Ms. McKee as a supporter when they were running. Shortly after she gets on the board with him, he loses that support. Let's look at the people off of the board whose support he loses. You know, Mr. Davis was a supporter, he loses him. Chuck LaRosa was a supporter, he loses him. You know, the list can go on and on and on of the people that he once had as supporters. Tom Adder was a supporter. You know, Mr. Perkins was a supporter. These are all people now that absolutely have nothing positive to say about the man, because once you get in that circle, if you don't play ball by Mr. Evans' rules, then all of a sudden you're a public enemy number one. You're trashing them on Facebook. You're dragging them through the mud. You're calling them every name in the book you can. You call them rats on a sinking ship and every other word that you want to throw at those people. You know, it's sad that is what you decided to do with your tenure as a trustee. I truly believe you relish the role as the minority on the board, because if you were the majority, you would not know how to run the board. You would have absolutely no idea. You did have that opportunity for what, 2-3 months, and it turned out to be a total failure. You're in a better role as a minority in your mind because you can criticize everybody else without having to take any responsibility of the actions of the board. And that is something that you have done since you came on the board of the board of trustees. I'm sure we'll hear sometime either tonight or tomorrow on Facebook, here comes the John Carlisle people. He's a John Carlisle supporter. That's what Mr. Evans always refers to. Even though John Carlisle hasn't been at one trustee meeting in 2.5 years,
30 seconds.
he continues to make him the hot topic of every disagreement somebody has with him. It has to go back to John Carlisle. Well, let me say this. I've had my disagreements with John Carlisle. I've had them public against John Carlisle. But I will say, on John Carlisle's worst day, he will be better than your best. You have sat here and you've done nothing but bullied everybody from your personal life to your business life to your elected life. Anybody that disagrees with you, you want to set out an example to destroy, to demolish, and to ruin that person's name. Mr. Burkholder and Ms. McKee, I'm glad that you're up here to at least stand up to the bully and do what's right for Etna Township. And while we may not always agree with each other,
Your time's expired.
you're doing the right thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Michelle Marie Epach, 114 Loyalty Drive, and thank you all for the opportunity to be here. And I too saw some things on Facebook that I didn't agree with, or was not my perspective at all whatsoever. And I always want to credit everyone for the help and support they give. Mark, you've always been, continue to be responsive to questions, emails, answers. You visit on site. Thank you. But when I see assertions that you're not getting any help, I wanted to share with everyone what I've seen, because I've seen you working. Sometimes you probably feel like you're spinning your wheels, but I see you working hard. I see Gary, every time I come into township, Gary's here, or if I call, he's here. Gary also answers every one of my emails. Every time I drive by, Gary's car is here. Previous 2 years, Rosalind was here every time I came in. Every time I call, email she always responds to. Her car was there the times I didn't come in, but every time I drove by. So I'm seeing everybody working hard for Etna, and thank you all for that. I also saw assertions our zoning commission didn't get the proper support. Things were not ideal. When I first came in, and I observed for probably a good year and a half before I was on the commission, I thought I got invaluable support, questions answered, the inspector, and we had the one zoning inspector, he would sit hours with me answering all my questions, and they're random. But I did notice there was, the zoning office, it was grossly understaffed. And it's hard to get the support that you feel we should have had, we should have had. That would have been ideal was an understaffed office. So that said, thank you. I know you had a hand in getting us our new full-time zoning inspector, consultant. We had our intern. The support you've provided is invaluable, and we are very grateful. And I just want to make sure everybody knows there's good things happening, and the zoning commission, we're excited to be working with everybody. We're excited to have the support. We are excited to move forward together to get great things done. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next, please?
Paige Hobbs, 160 Rolling Road Southwest. I just wanted to thank Mr. Copley for answering calls about our new road sign. I know that a couple of the trustees had worked on that for Rolling Road, and it got put up, and then it was on the east side of the road, and previously it had been on the west side, and it was a bigger sign, it was lower, and it was this whole thing, and some of our neighbors were having a hard time seeing oncoming traffic when they were turning out. But Mr. Copley came, assessed it, raised it up higher, and now there's no issues. Everyone's much safer, so thank you, Mr. Copley and your team, for working hard to keep us safe. We appreciate you. That's all.
Thank you.
John Kennard, 10785 Palmer Road. My famous saying is every action could cause a reaction. It's really nice to see all the love for Mr. Transparent here tonight. It's nice to see the zoning department show up. You know, he has criticized on Facebook the zoning department, the parks department, the park progress. He even, I've got to compliment Burkholder for putting up with it, but you're doing pretty good. But he also attacks residents of the community. If they don't support his agenda, he attacks them. I'm a grown man now, as he states on Facebook. I'm glad I'm grown now, you know. I don't agree with his philosophy. I don't agree with his business practices and what have you. But I probably get more airtime on Facebook than Carlisle or you guys. My picture is on there pretty frequent. And a lot of people didn't know who John Kennard was in that. A lot did, but I think a lot more do now. But if I could get me a free lawyer that would work on this project with me, he took my picture without my knowledge, without my approval. I have come here and stated in front of him that he does not have my permission to post my picture on his website, Facebook, whatever you want to call it. He continues to ignore it. I called over to Newark to the people over there and talked to them. They said, well, they don't really deal with that. They only deal with if there's, you know, corruption or something going on like that. But, you know, a person's personal action, they don't address. So politicians are above the law. They can do a lot of things that me and you can't. Just like his actions against the zoning person. In real life, he would have been terminated and removed from his position. No questions asked. But as a politician, you can manhandle a person, a subordinate, whatever you want to call, you know, the staff of Etna Township. I think you guys are a little bit above their
30 seconds.
Okay. And, you know, it just happened. It's nice to see Mr. Davis show up and speak about the camera work of his personal equipment. But we brought that up before, saw it too, so thank you guys.
Thank you.
Anyone else? There will be an opportunity for 2 minutes public comments after we get through our agenda.
Well, I just want to add, at Door Schmuck on Mink, just wanted to thank the board for addressing the roundabout and the stuff.
Very good. Go on to the road department. At this time, I've had Mr. Copley, our road superintendent, put together a couple of paragraphs on some items that he would like to bring before the board tonight regarding some repairs and some estimates. Mr. Copley, you have the floor. If you don't mind coming to the podium so we pick up your comments and requests on the tape recording.
Okay, where do you guys want me to start at? I didn't bring a copy with me. I brought two paragraphs on one page. One was for a blanket certificate.
Could you pull that up just a little so we can hear?
One was for a blanket certificate for, I believe it was $5,000, just to repair the dip on Palmer Road, just west of Royal Acres, or
Old North Church.
Northern Acres. Yeah, Northern Acres, Old North Church, yeah. And that would be to dig out and dig out the asphalt and repair it with concrete, and replace it with rebar. And that's what the company, I've got two bids for it. I've got one bid for, that's right around $4,700, and then the other one's $4,800. But the $4,800, we have to supply a haul-out truck. The $4,700, they'll do the whole job.
Oh,
So I'm kind of leaning towards that, and that's why I'm asking for $5,000 in case there's something extra, in case something happens in cover. I know I can get it done for under that. And the other one is I'm asking for $10,000 for paving, so I can go and pick up 2 and 3 ton loads from the Shelley plant on Taylor Road. That way we can run like a scratch course on the edge of the pavement that's broke off in certain spots. Because the microsurfacing is coming up, and I want to make sure we build up and dig out the bad spots and replace it with good asphalt. That way everything's got good pavement, and it's straight and flat, and there's no breakaway from the roads.
and how much was that again? I'm sorry. 10?
Up to 10,000.
Up to.
Maximum of 10,000, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it won't go over that, but the pavement is $89.50 a ton picked up a ton.
And I did have a question on the Palmer Road repair. Was that, I know you're going to be putting in concrete, and I talked to you that one day out there. Are you going to be digging out the other material that's next to the culvert pipe now and filling that in with pipe?
Yeah, the spec is to dig out down to 8 inches, and then rebar and support it, and then pour concrete form to a smooth surface to the top of the pavement.
Okay. Are we going to try to compact the fill that's underneath there just
Yeah,
a little bit more?
Yeah, if we can, we will, but
Okay.
if not, then 8 inches of concrete with rebar, it won't crack, or it
Right.
should move around.
Okay. Well, I agree. We need that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
The 10,000 is for Shelley sand, right?
It's for shell materials, for the asphalt, I mean.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Well, I'd like to move to approve the up to $5,000 for the Palmer Road repair and up to $10,000 for the paving in anticipation for the Strasser work next month.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Thank you, Mr. Copley. Does the board have any additional questions? Roll call.
Who is the 5,000 to?
It'll be a blanket, correct?
Yeah, I'll get a blanket off. I can read everything to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, he was just waiting for the estimates. He got them verbally, but we'll forward those to the board as well, so it'll be a blanket.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. The Ohio Public Works Commission, again, that's coming up October 1st, I think, is when you can, when it opens up, but the applications are due by November 1st. We brought this up at the last meeting. I just wanted to check with my colleagues. Do you have any projects that you'd like to recommend? I know we've submitted some in the past that were not approved, so any thoughts on that from
Well, I've been going through reviewing, putting some considerations together. I don't have that finalized now. I would suggest that we address that at the next meeting, including engineer's request for the submission material needed for that to give us enough time to submit.
Very good, thank you. We had a meeting on Pike Street as far as the Phase 1, Stage 2. We had it here at the Town Hall with the attendance of the county engineer. We also had the director of the Transportation Improvement District, and the Verandis engineers were here as well. It was a good discussion, working out some of the fine points of that. The intergovernment agreement is still being worked on by the county engineer. We also had those plans sent over to MKSK, our urban design consultant. It was also discussed, which has been brought up previously, about having a public input meeting. It was tentatively talked about having that at October, late October. That just in recent conversation with Mr. Lozier, the director of TID, that will actually be set by ODOT. We'll have various stations and displays, and then there'll be an opportunity for residents to have written input on a public input form. I'll be happy to answer any questions. It's not been finalized yet, but I'll keep the board aware of that. Are there any questions on that?
Yeah, I do have a question regarding that date, and if we can get it finalized, if we can combine that with the comp plan public open house and do that mailer to all residents. I think that would be a benefit to get as much input as possible. So if there's any way to get ODOT to set that, and also us just set the date, then we can start working on that mailer and try to advertise to more residents. And I did have a question about the roads and
Go ahead.
The treatment. I didn't see a JED or JED Z report on here. I know there were recent meetings. There was that request to request reimbursement for the portion of the Reclamite application in the corporate park. I was just wondering what the status of that was.
Well, we didn't have that exact figure, but I will say the board was most favorable on us. We know the procedure, normally you get approval ahead of time, but they seemed very favorable on that. That would probably be you saying, was that on which, in the industrial park?
That was on the industrial park, Heritage Drive,
Right.
Etna Parkway. The figure for that was provided previously.
Right. They felt it should probably be a separate request. Yep. But we could revisit that. We'll be getting the minutes from that, and be happy to coordinate that and bring that to the board as a formalized request, which we can forward to them, and they would consider it at their November meeting.
I thought we voted on that for Ms. McKee to request that of the board quite a few meetings ago. So I don't think we need any more action.
You are correct. It was brought up, but we'll have to, and Ms. McKee did bring it up at the meeting, but we'll want to get the specifics on that too.
Okay. Well, I believe all specifics were given last time.
Okay. And we can work on that, right? Ms. McKee, bring that forward. Anything else on roads? I do want to thank everyone that worked on the roundabout at Refugee Road, the contractors and the TID. There are still some punch list items there. I contacted the resident that lives on Refugee Road. I know we'll have some further discussion regarding the tire damage, but there is a excavated hole out there, and I found out today that apparently the fiber was nicked during construction. It is on the punch list. Miller Brothers has initiated the punch list, but they haven't gotten to that specific item yet, but that will be addressed.
And then I just had one final thing, an announcement
Sure.
That was brought up earlier. Strasser will be beginning work tentatively first week in October for the resurfacing of the streets, the Cape Seal, and the micro surfacing. This includes Sterling Way and Whittington Place in Watkins Grove, Palmer Road, Linz Road, Smoke Road, and sections of Refugee Road.
Thank you. Comes to the zoning department, I'll try to make this as brief as possible. A lot of things going on in the zoning department. We've had a recent resignation, which the board will address later tonight. Our first week was completed by Ted Walker, who is our new full-time zoning inspector and code enforcement officer. So we've been dealing with a multitude of issues, including complaints. The trustees have a list of complaints in their packet tonight. Something that came to mind regarding the chemical storage is probably contacting the emergency management services here in Licking County. They keep a list of various facilities that have hazardous wastes or chemicals and the requirements as far as protecting those. So I think we can contact them this week and see what their recommendation is regarding that complaint. We also I've put on the agenda the map and text amendments. I think I mentioned in a previous meeting, our Morpsey intern who is here tonight, Drisha Datal, put together a very comprehensive list of all the map and text amendments. We've been working diligently on that. We have requested a map that the Lincoln County Planning Commission has, what their zoning map looks like, and what the map we have that was updated by Mr. Leonard, our land use consultant. And now we're going to embark on comparing those two maps and see where there are still discrepancies. And this is all, once we get that done, this is all part of having that open house. So we have the correct zoning map and the correct future land use map for that open house. So that date has not been set yet, but that's the work that's been going on in the zoning department. We've done a lot of organization there. We're still going through a lot of records. I think they've processed about 10 outstanding permits. We've had multiple TRCs. We've met with other business owners that have currently active projects here in the township, so it's been very busy. But I'm very encouraged that the pieces of the zoning department are coming together. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I have a question on the zoning complaint report. There's numerous complaints that are missing. Blue Monkey, the motel, the several on Palmer Road that were expressed to us by the resident near there. Some other ones. There's some duplicates out here and missing numbers. Are these consecutive, and should there be numbers for all, or are there errors? There's two 24s, but there's a missing 23.
I'm glad that you brought that up, Mr. Evans. Yes, there are errors on there as well, and not casting any aspersions, but not all the data was inputted in previously, and so that's some of the cleanup work. But I wanted to get that report out, so I think you probably have more. I know you filed many, complaints and concerns, legitimate ones, and those probably didn't get inputted, and we're finding that our iWork software was probably not utilized to its fullest potential. So if you have those and you want to forward those, we're going to put those in, as well as we just recently had one down on Palmer as well. So our practice now is as soon as we get those complaints, we're going to enter them into the computer and then do the necessary investigations. I can't tell you specifically because I don't have that off the top of my head. There were letters sent out on some grass violations, some of the low-hanging fruit. I don't believe a lot of those were necessarily followed up on. So the next step is to go out and verify whether they complied with the violation letter. If they didn't, there is a multi-step process that will have to be followed, and if they're still not in compliance, then the Board of Trustees will set a nuisance abatement process. It's different than the city, and that is our goal, to do that as time permits. But our priority right now was to handle a lot of the permits, and some of that has required getting with the prosecutor for some advisory language and direction regarding some of the requests we've had for various projects in the township. So I know you have some, and I'm glad, so if there are corrections.
Just search the emails and
If there are corrections there that you know off the top of your head, and we can search those emails. That's another thing we're doing. We're going back on a lot of those zoning emails as well to make sure that we haven't missed anything. So I do appreciate you pointing out what needs to be added to that list. Ms. McKee, do you have anything?
I don't.
I did make contact at Lakeland Hills with a resident who referred me to the HOA president regarding the pond issues that they have there. I've not had a chance to contact that person. I think they were out for a while. They may be home now. And so I want to follow up with that as we can.
is that a different individual or the same individual?
It's a different individual. I talked to a resident, but when I asked the resident if they had had any discussion at the HOA, I was referred to the HOA president.
Well, I know the HOA president and Mr. Johnson, former trustee, were here at the previous meeting discussing the matter.
And I've not spoken to that HOA president. I'll be happy to give any kind of update on the parks. As far as High Point Park is concerned, we received documents that we will need to fill out verification from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources regarding the $150,000 grant that we had, so we need to go through that administrative process. I know there's been commentary as far as the lack of the meeting of the park committee, and I thought I mentioned it at a previous meeting. If I didn't, I apologize, but the key contact that we have at our consulting firm has been off on some personal leave, and that is the reason that we've not had that meeting. As soon as that person is available, we'll go ahead and convene another park committee. I do want to remind everyone, though, it's going to be a while till we even have access to the park. The construction of Drayton Hall, that roadway will go halfway back on that property toward the park. So we have time, but that's the reason that the park committee has not met.
One question on that. Has the committee members been notified that there's a hold on any further meeting until the issue with the consultants is resolved?
I've had one park person ask me, we thought it was going to be for the 15th, and then we asked, we contacted the consultant, and that's when we learned. I'll have to double check, be more than happy to send out another email to remind them. I'll check with the administrative assistant. I don't know if we have or haven't, but we'll let them know that that's the reason that there's been a hold.
I just think communication is key, because I know it was previously suggested to have it on August 1st, 8th, or 15th. Each of those days came and went without anybody saying anything, and there's a lot of confusion and questions from some of the members, and I think we need to do our best to communicate, and if we have a date undetermined, that should be communicated to the entire committee.
I would agree to that, Mr. Evans. I will make a brief comment, though. It does no one any good to go out on Facebook and make the kind of negative comments you have regarding the lack of a meeting or everything. We will do the best we can with the staff we have, and I'm all for communication, but negative comments on Facebook, in my opinion, are not professional, and they do nothing to further the good of the committee.
Well, I just say improper communication is not professional.
Okay.
Facebook is proper?
Oh, you guys got an email?
Hold it.
Facebook is proper?
Hold it. Old business. Item A, Resolution 2024-026 is on the table. Is there a motion to remove it from the table?
Or moving, yes. I motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Burkholder, you seem to be the one that needed more information. Have you gotten that information? And if not, why do these continue to be put on these agendas? I believe Robert's rule says table it. If it's not addressed by the next meeting, it's dead. I'm ready to move forward. Have you gotten the information you said you needed?
No, I do not. Do you have anything, Ms. McKee, any comments on this?
Is there a reason you haven't sought that information? And we need to make a decision, yes or no. This has been going on all year. Each meeting you've indicated you don't have the information and then just, you don't seek it.
I'm sorry, I made a procedural error. Roll call to remove it from the table.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. So is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, now discussion. I apologize. No, I don't have the information, and I've not seen, you indicated that you didn't have the original paperwork on this, and yet you said it at a meeting, you said, I don't know where the original paperwork is on this. You said it's not here in the office, and yet you brought forward the agreement to go ahead and reimburse the $95,000.
No, you had asked for the submission which the former administrator submitted, and I said she would have that, we would have that. I believe that was forwarded to you. I believe 1 or 2 times, even the ODOT representative that Fred Vogel, he had sent it. So you have that information, you probably just didn't read it.
Well, I'm not going to argue with Mr. Evans. I have asked, and I will again get with the fiscal officer to see when those monies were received, but I know we wrote out a check for $960-some thousand, and I had subsequent comments with Mr. Vogel, who was under the impression that that $100,000. Now, I'm not quoting him because I want to see the full paperwork, but do you have anything, Ms. McKee, on this at this time?
Well, the $900,000 was, sorry, on a 629 grant, which is separate from this grant. That this 900-some thousand was not within Mr. Vogel's office. That was another individual. And that applied to a maximum of 30% of the construction cost. So there's 70% that this $100,000 is applicable to. Those expenses were sent by Ms. Hanson to Mr. Vogel and their office, and they approved the reimbursement. Mr. Vogel stated that it should go to the entity that paid this.
And you say we have a...
we have an email from Mr. Vogel.
We have a loan. You indicated previously we have a loan on that project?
I believe there's a loan on...
this is
Global
Way Extension.
Just like Tollgate, just like Schuster Way.
Okay, then my question is, where are the loan documents?
Oh, I have no idea, because that's part of the lack of any working files in the township.
I don't have anything else to say at this time. We've gone through this before. This is part of the cleanup work, and until I can see those documents, I think it's important to know how much loan is still owed upon that project. But do you have anything else, Ms. McKee?
I have nothing else on
I'll
that.
take a roll call on the motion to approve this.
To approve to remove it?
No, to approve to grant this reimbursement. We'll make a decision here.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
No.
Ms. McKee?
No.
Motion fails. Ice Miller legal invoices. I don't believe we have. That's on the table. Is there a motion to take it off the table?
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second for discussion.
Second. For discussion, roll call please on the motion.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Don't have any opinion yet as far as how that has to be from the prosecutor. As you know now, we have to go through a pretty rigorous schedule of items that we need to provide the prosecutor in order to get any opinions now. It either has to be a resolution or it has to be the minutes, and we are behind on the minutes, so that creates somewhat of a logjam of getting those opinions. It's unfortunate we have to go through that process now, but so I have, go ahead.
No, I just say it's not a rigorous process. It's what they requested before, that all relevant information be provided, which many times it hasn't. But all you have to do is a resolution, like have here, that states we authorize this opinion and we're done. So it's not rigorous at all.
Well,
So
Well,
you,
that, just so you know, that wasn't presented at the 8/6 meeting, so. I have nothing more on this, so. Southwest Lincoln Community Water and Sewer District, we left that on there, Mr. Evans. You have a question on that?
well, yeah, that's still, we authorized you contacting the prosecutor regarding their actions, seeking to expand the district, I believe, at the expense of the existing members, and also the refusal of our board appointee to provide reports or anything else to the board as requested. He specifically sent in refusing to, and his conduct on that board. I believe he should be removed, and we should deal with that. But again, that was prosecutor's opinion, and again, tonight, we could just deal with it with a simple resolution.
Etna Township web hosting proposal was tabled on 8/20. Is there a motion to remove it from the table?
I would say let's, this is the new company that we were looking at.
Well, do we have to?
I'll
motion
move to-
I'll move to
To make-
remove.
I'll second. Roll call.
Okay.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Yes, it was a new company. It's my understanding, Mr. Evans, that the renewal for the web hosting has been renewed for the old company. Is that correct?
Yes, when the website was let to go down, we lost the hosting service. We did not have passwords or access. I was able to get access, luckily. I did pay that, so we got the website hosting restored. However, we need to find a new web vendor. We discussed changes from the hosting earlier this year in April. That vendor was supposed to change it. He had some difficulties personally, and we were speaking about how we have to find a new vendor. I found a new vendor. We need to do something. I know eventually we will be revamping the website, but until then, we've got to maintain it. And one of the issues, as even the current, I'll say, web hosting vendor indicated, was there's a lot of vulnerability through iPage right now. And that's why he suggested going to A2. That was never implemented, but my proposal was to have that transferred to this company. They have their hosting partner, and they could deal with minor changes, security, and all that.
Yes, and several months ago, I brought forward the proposal, and we talked about additional web providers. I brought forward a proposal for Civic Plus, and the board decided at that time not to move forward. I agree with the vulnerabilities and everything, but if you want to move forward, I insist that the contact person not be a trustee, but be the township administrator.
Yes.
Well, yeah, once we hire an administrator, they should be the main contact, handling all the employees, all this stuff. And that's been my hope, that, then we'll have proper communication, all that. My comment on your former proposal was, that was like a $30,000 proposal of revamping the whole thing. And
Yes.
when you're revamping everything, you need a lot of resources in-house to say what we want, what we don't want. And we simply didn't have the staff or the time or the input. So I'm very hopeful that the administrator will be able to eventually bring us to that point with a new website, but we also have to properly maintain that. And we're vulnerable now. And even, like I said, not even paying the bills. I brought it up last meeting and the board refused to address it. The website went down.
No, they didn't refuse. You asked if we wanted to table it for further consideration.
You've had email
We
after
did not-
email
we did not.
notice.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you. Is there a motion to go ahead and approve the proposal as submitted by Mr. Evans?
I so moved.
I'll second. Discussion. I move to amend, though, that the administrator, as soon as the administrator is hired, that the administrator be the main contact and that Mr. Evans not be the contact. Is there a second to the amendment?
So who's going to be the contact?
Second. You can go ahead and set it up since you brought this project forward, but it will be transferred and the passwords and access to it will be transferred. So,
Well-
roll call on the amendment, please.
Mr. Evans?
I'm a little confused about, so you want to authorize Trustee Evans
Yes.
to set it up,
All right.
and then it transfers to the administrator,
As far
but
as
you
the
don't want
administrative-
the passwords kept in-house?
No.
So we're in the same situation we were?
No, Mr. Evans. I've stated that. I don't know how more, that when we become the administrator, we become the administrator of the account.
Right, but the township will,
Yes.
okay.
It's the townships. But
Right.
we as trustees aren't going to have administrative access to go in and change things on our own.
No, we don't need to, but we need access to those in case people leave.
We've had this discussion ad nauseum, so I'll ask for a roll call on the amendment, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
And now, roll call. Any further discussion on the main motion?
Yeah, it's very convoluted, but at least their website won't go down again.
Roll call.
Seriously?
Yes, Ms. Kutuna.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Motion passes. I have nothing on the comp plan update. And resolution 2024-041, resolution requesting prosecutor's opinion, Nicholas Weigel damage claim.
Yes, I'd like to move for resolution 202441. Let me see, pull this up. To receive the prosecutor's opinion to authorize payment to the resident listed, and we deal with the construction company and that, because I don't think it's proper that they're out on that, and the board has the full Exhibit A with all the information and requirements, even the requirements of the prosecutor listed in their required format.
So this motion is to get an opinion, but not to...
Right, to get an opinion, because then we can do, once we have the opinion, we can do whatever we want. But the motion was last meeting to get the opinion, but it wasn't a resolution, so we have to wait for minutes. So this will move it forward.
This discussion.
I'm just glad we're going to get it to the prosecutor. They'll make their decision and get back to us, and then we'll make our decision based on that.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Resolution 2024-043, a resolution hiring and establishing the terms and conditions of employment for the Etna Township Administrator. Is there a motion?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second for discussion.
For discussion, comments from my colleagues? This is a resolution hiring and establishing the terms and conditions of employment for the Etna Township Administrator. Whereas the board desires to employ Susan E. Bedsole as Township Administrator and establish the terms and conditions of her employment. And that will be at an annual salary of $155,000 plus benefits as articulated in the resolution. Further comments and discussion from the board?
No, I thought we were going to hear from our consultant.
Yes, we will. That's under discussion, but I'll now ask Dana McDaniel, who is with Management Advisors, to come forward and give us some background.
Good evening. Name is Dana McDaniel. I'm partner with Management Advisory Group, LLC, P.O. Box 1915, Westerville, Ohio. Good evening, members of the board. On behalf of Management Advisory Group, we really appreciate the opportunity to assist you in the search for your new township administrator. Management Advisory Group consists of 4 former city managers with over 150 years of combined local government experience. And I hate it when I say that because it makes me feel really old, but that's the truth. Our firm performs a number of services for our local government and not-for-profit clients to include organizational assessments, strategic planning, strategic budgeting, economic development, interim leadership services, and executive and professional searches. More specifically, we provide executive search services for city managers, township administrators, department division heads, police and fire chiefs, and other executive directors in local and county government and for the not-for-profit sector. Some of our more recent search experiences include the cities of Worthington, Westerville, Springfield, Monroe, Carlisle, Vandalia, Oakwood, Clayton, Cleveland Heights, Fairfield, Forest Park, Geneva, Huber Heights, Miami County, Washington Township, Montgomery County, Harrison Township, Montgomery County, Oxford, Plain City, and Powell, Ohio, just to name a few. Just to quickly recap our process, we conducted interviews with trustees, township partner agencies. We formulated a position profile as a result of this input and conducted our own environmental scan of the township. The position profile used to advertise the position highlighted, among several other things, the following challenges and opportunities for the next administrator: the unified direction, partnerships, managing growth and impacts, organization, fiscal health, and infrastructure. The profile was advertised nationally using the International City County Management Association and statewide using the Ohio Township Association, Ohio City County Management Association, Ohio Municipal League, and Indeed. Local government experience and advanced degree in public administration or equivalent was preferred, and we did look hard at experience that may be transferable. We received 97 applicants. We screened these down to 11 highly qualified candidates, all of whom had local government or transferable government experience. All candidates were properly screened and background checks performed on the finalists among this group. As you know, the township trustees interviewed the top finalists, resulting in a preferred candidate. And I'm pleased to introduce to you this evening Susan Bedsole. Susan, hopefully Susan will be Etna Township's next administrator should you pass the enabling resolution before you. Management Advisory Group highly recommends Susan as Etna Township's new administrator. Susan possesses over 35 years of public sector experience with extensive knowledge in public administration. Susan earned a Bachelor of Arts in Public Administration at Miami University of Ohio and a Juris Doctorate from Capital University Law School. She currently serves as a Deputy Court Administrator for Franklin County Court of Common Pleas General Division. There she's a member of the executive team and assists in the development of goals and values, policy development, program administration, budgets, and overall operational direction. She provides direct supervision of operational areas to include finance, information technology, and human resources departments. In 1988, I'm going back, I'm going to walk through your career. In 1988, Susan began her career as a judicial law clerk, staff attorney with the Franklin County Court of Common Pleas, where she served for 6 years. She then became Chief Legal Counsel for the Joint Legislative Ethics Committee, Office of the Legislative Inspector General, Ohio General Assembly, where she served for 7 years. She was then an attorney, Chief Executive Officer for Capital Compliance and Consulting, Columbus, Ohio, where she served for 2 years, focusing in the areas of lobbying and ethics compliance for public officials and private citizens. Susan was attorney compliance manager for the State and Federal Communications in Akron, Ohio, supervising attorneys in the Research and Compliance Department regarding lobbying and campaign finance compliance in all 50 states. Susan then made the move to Michigan, where she served for 10 years with the city of Battle Creek, Michigan, with a population of 50,000. She served in various roles there, starting as city clerk. In that role, she managed city records, she handled voter registration, she was the chief elections officer, managed the Freedom of Information Act request, and was the Open Meetings Act coordinator, among many other duties. She then became a department director, as we would call it, and director of community services, responsible for supervising planning, community development, neighborhood services, inspections, code compliance, economic development, grant administration in the city clerk's office. She then was promoted and became assistant city manager, responsible to assist the city manager analyzing and implementing policies and procedures, preparing a $110 million budget, responding to and working with citizen concerns, and assisting the city manager with service delivery, economic development, and legislative issues in support of the city's elected commission. Among other impressive service, she has served on and in leadership positions at various boards, to include the Battle Creek Unlimited, which is an economic development facility, Calhoun County Board of Health, Area Metropolitan Service Agency, Neighborhoods Incorporated of Battle Creek, Binder Park Zoo, Ohio Community Supervision System. On behalf of Management Advisory Group, LLC, I'm pleased to recommend Susan Bedsole as your next township administrator. Let me assure you, she is passionate about her public service. She She is anxious to get back to local government and enjoys working with elected officials and helping residents. She knows the area well, as she resides right up the street in Pataskala. So she's very familiar with the area, and we feel she is highly qualified and will provide the township with the day-to-day leadership and skills needed to assist you, the board, to be a leading community in our region. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
No, I just want to thank you for the entire process.
Yes.
It was great to go through and a lot of qualified candidates, but I really think we've got the best one here, so thank you.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Ms. McKee?
Yeah, comments. I wanted to just make sure that the concerns that I have, when we went through this process, Ms. Susan was kind of overlooked. And I brought it back to the attention of the board that she did qualify to look at as one of our top candidates. So I just want to be clear that she does qualify. But my concerns are the salary that the board agreed upon was between $130 and $145. That's what we posted the position as. So my concern is that's over. I mean, she applied, knowing that's what our threshold was, and that's what the board agreed upon when we posted the position. So I have a concern with the salary. So I'm not saying she doesn't qualify. She does. She's, I've seen her background. Like I said, I brought the board, because she was not in our top running, but I brought the board back to understand she is a candidate that could be a good administrator for the township. And my concerns are what we're paying for a township administrator where we had a particular salary in place. And she applied for it knowing that's what it was. So that's my concern.
I would just like to correct the record. Susan's always been at the top. I'm not sure where that's coming from. I'm a little shocked, but that's all I'll say there.
Well, I'd like to thank Management Advisory Group for a very professional, excellent search process. And one of the benefits was that it was an excellent profile of what our community is and some of the challenges and opportunities here. And I'm very pleased with the candidate that we've selected and fully supportive. And I hope that we get passage here tonight and look forward to the future. It's the need that we have here in Etna Township, so I'm very excited about this possibility for Etna Township. And that's all I have.
Do we want to hear from Susan?
Yes, Susan, do you have anything you'd like to say? Or?
Well, before Susan speaks, the benefits, are we going to discuss that
Well, we
now?
can discuss after.
Okay.
We'll discuss the motion.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Ms. Benzel?
All right.
You've only done this.
Sorry about that.
I've only done this a few times. So, it is wonderful, first of all, to see how many people are here. How exciting. That is I'm very, very excited to return to local government. Court's exciting, but, kind of boring every once in a while. So I'm excited really to get back to a place where I feel like I've made the most difference. People often overlook what happens at the local level. We tend to get focused on the national, but your day-to-day living is impacted most by the decisions that we make here. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from all of you, good, bad, and ugly. I can promise you that I will always listen. I can't promise you that I'll always agree, and I can't promise that I'll always do what you want. But I can promise you that I will listen, and I will explain to you always why something has been decided, whatever way it's been decided. So, and thank you so much I didn't forget about you. Thank you so much for the opportunity, regardless of how it goes tonight. Obviously, I've got a preference, but I appreciate the opportunity that all of you have given me. You had a great process. I really appreciated that process. And it shows, I think that's something important for all of us to remember. It shows that all of you care about this township and you want what's best for it. And that's what we need to focus on moving forward. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Any other comments from the trustees?
No, I think I've reviewed the proposal. While some have indicated, and I've seen some stuff online about the salary, but based on the experience, knowledge, and what can be accomplished, it's definitely worth it. And two, we have to keep into mind where we're at. We're rebuilding. We started out needing to rebuild, so it's not coming in where everything's running smoothly and that. So no, I'm very appreciative again for our conversations we've had interviewing and also the other applicants. But I really think for our needs, our future, it's really going to improve the township, and we'll get finally on track.
Anything else?
I do want to talk about the benefits.
You have the floor.
No, thank you. We do a mileage reimbursement, so I would prefer that we maybe look at doing a mileage reimbursement, because just doing a flat rate to me is kind of aggressive. So I don't think we should do the flat rate of the car reimbursement every month, stipend for the $300. I don't think that should be a part of it. We could do the mileage and reimburse. And
I've read the resolution, and I'm comfortable with the flat rate reimbursement, and then anything like a conference or anything would be the per mile reimbursement. But I think for $300 a month, I know other cities and other organizations pay a much higher amount than that, and there is quite a bit of travel here just locally that would be included in that $300,000 or $300, which is the use of the administrator's own personal vehicle. Just from our trustee travel alone, the meetings that are in Newark and around the region, Morpsey and those things. So I think it's very reasonable. In fact, it's less than a lot of other organizations pay. So I'm comfortable with that aspect of the resolution.
And so just while we're talking about, so you're talking 155 and an additional 5,000 after 6 months, correct?
That is correct.
And so it should be at 160. I want to make sure that's clear.
It's very clear. And the resolution is a public document. So
Yep, it is. I know that.
anyone that wants to see that. So there's no further
Well, I just want to say I agree with the mileage. I mean, that you can rack up mileage pretty easy going to a few meetings. Even our trustee reimbursements, it's $100 here, $100 there, just for a couple meetings and that. So $300, more than fair. If we bought a vehicle for township use, it would well exceed that. So we're actually saving by having the administrator use her own vehicle. As long as that vehicle doesn't have like a big Michigan thing on the side. Okay. But no, like I said, in these terms, I think it's fair, especially for the qualifications. We're getting a qualified, experienced administrator for this township, and the pay is commensurate with that. So I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. I'll ask for the roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
No.
Motion passes. Welcome aboard. We look forward to working with you very, very much. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. The 7th?
Yes, October 7th. Is that correct? Would be the start date?
Approximately. I mean, we can.
Whatever date is in there, yeah.
Okay.
That's
Tomorrow.
Well, I kind of have to go back and tell the other people.
No, but welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, resolution to initiate a general business text amendment, resolution 2024-042. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
I'll second that. Discussion.
Yes, this
May I go first?
Okay. I thought you were asking me for discussion.
Well, yeah. The only reason I want to explain is that We currently have a text amendment that's in the process, and we've been working through that, AB, GB, LB, and we've been working through that process, which was, I think, correctly reported tonight, initiated, and the zoning commission has been working on that for quite some time, and I think you did a very nice recap that working with our consultant, working with Mr. Olson to get a lot of those details worked out. They have paused or recessed the hearing, so the real question is which is going to be quicker, and we still don't have an answer on that. So I'm going to be supportive of this singular amendment, just so that if we have difficulty with that other amendment, we can at least have the protection that you're talking about in this amendment. So I will give you the floor to explain some of the details and talk about this.
And that's the only thing I'm thinking here, is because I really think time is of the essence on this. There's a couple locations on 40 that there has been interest in a truck stop, semi-fueling, including Columbia and 40, which I don't think this township or anybody else thinks it's a good idea for our transportation or adjacent residences. But basically, this is a resolution to initiate the zoning text change with the zoning commission. Within 5 days, they can they need to submit it to Licking County Planning Commission, and it'll make their September 23rd meeting, at which time then they can hold a public hearing and we can move this forward. This would remove the NAICS code 447190, other gasoline stations, which typically refer to gas stations without convenience stores, but also truck stops. So while the other process is going through, there's a lot of changes that I think need to be done. We can't rush it. And I appreciate the hard work, especially with Mr. Olson and the entire committee. But I think there's a lot to do. And in the email I got from the zoning consultant, there were a lot of intent, hopeful ifs. So that's, I mean, if your process goes forward the way it's, I guess, wished, it'll be quicker. But if not, it'll be slower. And I drove here today, there used to be a sign on the corner of Columbia and 40 that's not there anymore. So as soon as someone submits an application, there's nothing you can do about it. That was like the ready mix plant. So I really think this needs to be addressed for the quality of life of the residents. And like I said, this doesn't change anything. This just tells the zoning commission to initiate that process. And then there's an ORC timeline that is followed there, so.
Ms. McKee,
I don't have anything.
roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay. Fiscal officer's report.
Yeah, there's only a couple of purchase orders to approve and then a bunch of checks. I do have the bank statement for July. At the end of July, we had $8.5 million in the account. Okay, outstanding, our payments were $207,000. We received $250,000. Now, I have done one more thing. I'm still off on my numbers for the end of August, but we were at, you don't have August.
No, I don't.
I didn't calculate anybody yet. At the end of August, our bank balance is about $9.2 million. We received $883,000, and our payments for the month was $203,000. We did get the first half of the real estate taxes.
Okay.
The insurance, I would like to talk about that a little bit. Can we turn the HRA back so it covers the deductibles for the eye and the dental too? Just like it did before?
I think we should. I mean, I don't see why we shouldn't.
The HRA, when you do after you do the $2,700 on the HSA, on the past medical and dental, they would pick up the extra up to a certain point.
Not, you could use, the 2,700 was the deductible amount that the employee or covered person gets for the medical.
Right.
So if you use that, there's not to use, but if you don't use that, you can use it for anything. You can bank it over years and that. However, what you're asking for is to increase the benefits, to remove
No.
all deductibles, because you can still use the HSA.
But if you,
Who have got it, new employees are only HRA though.
okay, well,
If anybody prior to our change, or the officers, you can use the HSA for anything, but then if you ring up your medical, you're gonna have to pay that up until the 2,700, and then we go after that.
the way it
Because the
works-
deductible is 6,350.
right,
So the 2,700 prior, employees and trustees were given 2,700, we have to pay with that HSA card.
Right, but once it runs out.
But once it runs out, the HRA takes over.
Right, and
But what
that's
you're
what-
wanting to do is,
the HRA also covers the deductible since we have $6,000. Like some of us don't go to the doctor.
correct,
I go to the eye doctor and I go to the dentist. So I'm not utilizing the HRA.
Well, you can't use your HRA on dental.
Yes, you can.
but what, you were given an HSA, and you can choose to use it. If you don't use your medical,
Right.
you can use it on that, other surgery.
At
Okay.
6,350, you cannot use it at a dental office, and you cannot use it at eye.
Not at this point.
Not our, yeah.
But in HRA, yes, you can
Yes.
if you switch it. and-
Correct.
If we approved it, but that would be an increase in benefits, and right now, our benefits are, for medical, employees and trustees pay nothing out of pocket for in-network. Zero towards it, zero deductible, zero payment, anything. I've never seen anything like it. Apparently, there's a few other places, but it's all government entities. But there's minor deductibles on dental and vision, so I don't think it's,
Yeah, so when you go to the dentist, say for instance, I think Delta dentists give up $1,800, and if you need an implant.
You have to pay $2,600.
Correct,
Right.
right, because, yeah.
dental's just never as
They-
good of
They've
coverage.
always been like that since the 60s. But that's why you're trying to say you want to use that card to help offset that.
For someone who has.
Correct, so that makes sense, yeah.
Or eye problems.
Yeah,
they
and
have
dental.
Health problems.
Right.
But that's where you can use your HSA, the 2,700, if you don't have medical expenses towards those.
All right, also, I'd like to set up automatic payments for a few vendors. The vision care, the dental, the telephone, the internet, the electric and the gas companies. They're everything we do every month. Instead of writing checks, have them come out automatically so that we know.
So, for instance, electric may change, so you would do like a bucket with just, it says AP.
Yeah, you put it in APs and you put in your ACH stuff and it comes out automatically. You don't have to worry about getting the invoice sent to you and paying the bill on time. And it's not because I can't pay the bills on time, it's because the invoices don't get to me.
Okay, I understand.
So those type of bills I would like to put on a automatic ACH.
We are having a problem with our internet, I mean, our IT provider and our emails. So I want the board to be aware of that. We've had it in zoning, we had the tech out, it still isn't working. It wasn't set up as it was requested to. So it's really been a struggle with getting consistency with the emails and getting service out of our IT provider.
Well, I would disagree on that, because I was told that there were issues with emails being forwarded or not replied,
I still
or
don't
Julie, Ms. Patricia, but, or the emails to Ms. Varian's old account that they weren't being provided, hey, there's a new account, use this one. They were. It's just if you try to test it with an Etna Township email, it's not going to provide that because you're within the system. But I tested it with my company's email and it worked fine. So there's a lot of times that I'm hearing that things aren't being provided, but it is working.
Well, it's not working because I'm in the office and it created quite a disruption of trying to catch up on zoning emails and sending out things to clients, because I was here when the consultant was here and it didn't get set up correctly. We've also had problems that the internet provider apparently disconnected the internet going to our security server because they were having a problem we lost internet power to a couple of our employees here, and then we come to find out that they unplugged the internet connection to our server as far as our security server, and I verified that with the security company.
Correct, and there was a conflict that they ran their system, and there was a conflict that the security system was creating within our network. So that's why it was removed, and the security company needed to deal with it, whether they dealt with it or not. I don't know.
Well, I don't think they knew about it, so I know from firsthand experience. So I would ask that we all work together rather than criticizing one another to get some of these rough spots cleared out. No, that's all right. Let's continue.
Okay. So, can you make a motion that I can put these on automatic payments?
And get a
I mean,
list.
is that
Let us have a list of what they are.
allowed?
Get a list.
So,
I don't know.
Have you talked, is that allowed for, I mean,
I'll
we're supposed to approve, I'm trying to look back at the organizational meeting. I thought there was an approval for ordinary and, where was it?
Well, those are routine payments. The only question I have with ACH though is make sure that we verify when those automatic payments come out.
I have to make, I still, even when they come out, I still make a little list here, and you guys still sign it.
Yes.
Everything comes out automatically. The taxes come out automatically.
The other thing that we need some work on too is the lighting districts, what we pay for. Other ones that we go ahead and bill the HOA, some of them I think I believe are direct billed. We have some records and spreadsheets on that, but that's another area that we're doing some cleanup work to find out and working with the fiscal officer so we know exactly who's paying what and who has to goes on the assessments.
I might know somebody that could help us with that. But regarding the bill payments, I know with checking everything, there was something happened, and maybe you could explain, Ms. Catuno, with the health district's payments and checks to them. They said they received overpayments, and there was a check on there that was removed. That was
Mr. Evans, we're going to take care of that administratively. But we're not going to be advertising and constantly.
No, it's a question about the bill pay.
It's a question. Was that on Facebook?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
About the payment of the mosquito?
Yes, it was, sir. You know how it got there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there.
Right.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Burkholder, if you want to make those comments, you're not addressing these issues, and you're not reviewing.
Mr. Evans put it on Facebook, which is fine. I talked to Teresa today. She said she had my phone number. She did not have my phone number. She had a typo on my phone number. So I have not gotten any messages from her, so I couldn't respond to it. We took care of the problem, and it's taken care of now.
Good, thank you.
And she is now going to send everything to fiscal at the township.
Okay.
So are we taking action, or do you want to go back to the organizational?
Well, one question on the organizational, just look up, motion to approve payment of required fees and necessary expenses for elected, wait, that's the wrong one. Motion to approve the signing of checks of payroll, regular monthly bills, and all previously approved expenditures and purchase orders outside meetings. That's the only reference to that, so I know we do have some automatic payments. There have been issues with when there's automatic payment with the health insurance when we did not have any appropriations. And I'm sure now that we'll be able to have a budget appropriations and that won't happen anymore, but that would be my only comment. If it's allowed, sure, we just have to monitor it.
So is there a motion to honor this request as presented?
I'll so move.
There's a second?
I'll second, but do we want the prosecutor to verify that it's?
I think that would be wise.
I will ask the prosecutor.
Which the fiscal officer can ask the prosecutor.
I can go directly to her.
Okay, so.
All right.
So as amended or conditional upon an opinion from the prosecutor. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Okay, a couple more things.
Yes.
I have these bills from the Jeds for the Assured Partners. It's,
The Jed.
Jed 1, 2, 3, 4. No, they came to us. I sent them to you guys. They're ACE American Insurance Company policies to renew the directors and officers liability. I just sent them to you guys. You should have a copy on your desk.
Well, we just, remember we discussed that at the meeting.
Yes.
Right, but that's because there's not enough funds in those jets. Is that correct? And those
No, I
are,
wanted to make sure I could pay them.
well, that's what I mean, but are those reimbursable then once the funds are?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But my question is, there are funds that are being dispersed. I could understand when they're first set up, they haven't been funded and that, but every JED, even 7, has money going in and out. Why is it coming to us to pay, then we get reimbursed from the JED? Why aren't they just paying it directly? Which I think, it's the same thing with the legal, and it does make sense that we continue that.
I think it's a fair question, so I think if we could get draft minutes from those meetings, which just happened recently, but I concur that if there's sufficient funding, then.
Are you in touch with Greensboro? The campus office?
Let's put this on the next agenda on the JEDs. Do you have anything else?
I don't.
Ms.
Yes,
Continue.
COVID money. With the COVID money, we need to start thinking about what we want to do with it. Do we want to buy a car for the township? Or do we want to pay? We have that $169,160.
Did we discuss this at the last meeting and said we could pay the deputies' salaries because that leaves it open to anything else? So I thought that was already handled.
No, we didn't.
No,
We
you never
discussed
made
it,
a
but we
motion.
didn't make a motion.
No, we didn't make a decision. One of my questions is if they're short deputies, do we get a discount if we don't have the coverage that we can track?
We're only charged when they work. So we get billed whatever hours they're putting in. So if we don't have, like right now, we don't have the 4th deputy, we're not being charged for them. We're not.
It's not a flat.
And it's gas charges. All that money can go to them. And like I said, it frees up, any general funds.
Do you know when that contract is due to renew?
It's annual. So I think, and that's another thing
You know
we
a date?
need put on the master calendar. No, it's either 60 or 90 days, I believe. But those are the type of things that we're gonna really need to keep track of.
Any further comment on that?
One last thing.
Yes, please.
Cemetery lots for Mr. Green
Yep.
and Mr. Rash. They were working on them last year with Nita and Roz. And Mr. Van, is that how you say his last name? His wife is already buried there, and he would like a letter to state that he can be buried there next to his wife. They are the long-term residents, the 30-year plus. So he would like a nice little letter saying when he passes that his kids can bury him there.
I know in brief conversations I had with Laura Brown, there was some concern as to why, and that's why it hasn't been resolved. I don't recall the specifics though.
And what, with Mr. Branham, I know I had spoken to him before and he had the
He
issues.
came in one day just in tears because he wanted to make sure he could be buried next to his wife.
Branham also?
No, Brandon is the guy, wants to be buried next to his wife.
Okay.
David Thrash and his wife are not deceased yet, but they have been their lifelong residents here in Etna Township also. So they were working on both those.
So they want 2 joint lots?
No, they have 2 different ones.
Okay.
But Mr. Brandon wants to be next to his wife.
Do you recall that issue?
Well, Branham, yeah, he came to me, that's when I brought to the board that he was in my driveway in tears. Now he was basically told to leave out of the time. He wasn't treated properly to get information that, but I mean, I haven't talked to him for a little bit, but his last wish was, with everything that went on, he wished he would have never buried her there, but if his mind has changed, if we can't allow, I don't know, reservation or prepayment, I don't see why we wouldn't to accommodate a spouse.
It's supposed to be prepaid or free. Because he was a 30-year resident. That's in the.
So that would be probably a prosecutor question, right? Can we hold,
A space for it.
I mean, what's our capacity at now? Can't we just skip it and just, and then if there is a need and he hasn't passed, we're gonna have to fill it and that's what we have to do, but can't we?
Why would we do that? That's not.
I don't know what the policy is, so I don't know
I'll
the
ask the
policy
prosecutor.
off the top of my head.
I'll get that one.
I would just request that, I mean, if we could skip and.
Is there, with that said, do you need a motion to ratify the payment of the bills as shown on the payment listing? Are we ready for that? So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes, any,
I did have a question on the COVID money. When we put it towards a specific purpose, Ms. Varian had a resolution ready for us. Do we need to have a resolution
I think
at
that
the
was-
next meeting then? Maybe
Well, when you guys decide what you
Yes,
want
we
to
haven't
do with it,
decided.
you haven't decided really what you want to do.
But I
with it.
think if you bring the resolution, or we can have that resolution, then decide.
I think it's better to decide than get the resolution.
well, let's take the original resolution and duplicate it
Correct.
and have the discussion and decide what we're going to specify.
And then I did have one other question. I'd asked back in July, did we ever receive the overpayment of $258 from Wind Waste, Ms. Coutinho?
Yes,
We did, okay. And that was just from an overpayment when we paid the last trash.
correct.
It included some commercial accounts in that, so there was that small reimbursement.
Roll call on the motion, please.
Mr. Evans?
Or did we already pass that?
We passed the bills. One quick, did we approve the purchase orders?
No.
No, okay. We're jumping around here.
Yes.
Is there a motion for resolution 2024-040 to approve the purchase orders?
So moved.
I'll second.
Second, discussion.
I do have a question. We approved the new web vendor. Do we have to have a PO for that? Or is there a separate PO for the existing web vendor? And
We'll have to have a new PO.
so nothing can be started or signed before we hit the PO, or can I initiate that agreement and then we have the PO at the next meeting? I just don't know if I have to hold off on getting things moving until the next
Well, we
meeting.
really don't know what the total cost is, do we?
The
We do $120 a month.
It's $120 a month, $70 for the security certificate, $560 for the migration of it, and then any other work is an hourly basis if we want little changes and stuff like that. So, I mean.
Yearly contract?
No, it's month to month, so anytime we want to make a change, we can make a
Very
change.
good.
So do you want to make a motion to have a certain amount and then make a PO?
Can we add a PO now? Or you're going to have to, because I could just give you the PO number for next time. I'm just wondering, can we add a PO now or can we proceed without a PO? But you already said we need one, so now or later, and can I move forward with the agreement or do I have to wait until a PO?
I would suggest for the benefit of the township, you move forward with the agreement. And let's make sure we get that PO at the very next meeting.
Can I, because wouldn't I be binding those funds without the
Well, do you
fiscal
want- do you
officer?
wanna-
That's
Do
my
you want to
question.
amend the purchase order then?
That's what I'm asking if we can.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'd move to amend it to include Robin Tech for website services in the amount of, I did that quick calculation, where is it? Was $2,700, $3,500.
I'll second. Further discussion?
Is that going to be enough till the end of the year?
Oh, yeah, well, it's $120 monthly, $560 for the migration, and $70 for that. So, I mean, I did a year, and that's $2,070, so it'll be more than enough for the year, so $3,500.
Roll call on the motion to add that purchase order to the purchase order list.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
motion passes. Did we vote on the list?
The payment list?
Yeah, no, on the purchase order list.
No, we just amended it, so we got to do this.
Any further discussion on the list?
No.
Roll call, please. I'm sorry.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
motion passes. Transfers?
None.
Public comments? Anyone that have public comment, 2 minutes? Please come to the podium, state your name and address.
Ryan Davis, 807 Watkins Road. I will stick around until after the executive session for the trustee comments. Mr. Evans shaking his head no throughout my public comments. I assume I will be attacked during the meeting. I assure you not. I would caution any replies to my earlier statements to include facts and not vague generalities. I think determination is something that I think everyone in this room can attest that you have when you have your mind set on something. So I think multiple efforts to do this should be warranted, documented if you've done such. I think this new web service hopefully has had the conversation about streaming, and that was included in the decision to switch to this company. And I look forward to the new administrator or one of the other trustees putting this on the agenda for the next meeting, because Mr. Evans, clearly you have not asked to have this on the meeting agenda anytime in the recent future. So I know the new administrator said she's starting in October. I think this is something that could be discussed and added to the next meeting agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes?
Phyllis Bundy, 10254 Tollgate Road, Southwest. I just want to thank Mr. Copley. He does an excellent job with everything in the road department. We had we thought was a valid question. We found out it was a stupid question, but he didn't treat it stupidly. He returned our call and gave us an answer on it, and we really appreciate it. We think you do great work.
Steve Slide, 1372 Londondale Parkway. So I sent a record request to the township on August 13th requesting emails from Mr. Evans. And I haven't received a reply back to that. I'm sure a lot of it's because of the transition and things going on in the office right now. But I guess what I'm curious about is when I did those same kind of records requests a year ago, asking for emails from Ms. McKee, Mr. Evans clearly would produce the email himself to give to me to complete the request. But yet when the request is made of him, he won't provide the email. So again, that is just a standing request that's still out there that, when you guys get a chance, I'd like to be able to give a copy of those emails. And if for some reason the email request did not come through, please let me know. Another thing that I just want to bring up to you briefly, and then Mr. Burkholder, maybe you'll want to reach out to me at a later time to go over it. I sent Mr. Evans a message a little over a month ago with a proposed idea that you see in a lot of communities where they put up the sign as you're entering the community with the championship years of the different activity, athletic events and whatnot. And I offered to contribute the cost of that to be done into the entrances coming in at the township. And I know it's something you have to coordinate with the school system and whatnot, but I'm willing, assuming the cost is reasonable, to go ahead and volunteer to pay for that. I'm assuming he never presented any of that information to anybody on the board to let you guys know that offer was made. But if that is something, Mr. Burkholder, you would like to talk about in more detail, I'm willing to talk to you about that as far as the contribution that I can make into that financially. I think it's something, because the high school sits within Etna Township, I think it would be appropriate to have something like that to honor, what the Watkins High School academic and athletic and music, programs have brought to the district through the levels of success that they've had. So, final thing I want to just say is, I think it's great that we have a township administrator that's coming in. Hopefully she'll be given a fair opportunity. There's one trustee that's sitting up here that didn't give the last one that same opportunity. In fact, I have text messages and I've shared those with
30 seconds.
Where Mr. Evans, before she even started the job, was out to target her and try to get her out of the job. So hopefully he doesn't continue that same behavior this time, and he at least gives this person a fair shot where he didn't do that on the last one.
Thank you. Before you step away, Mr. Slade.
We could talk about it afterwards, Mr. McKee.
Okay, I was just going to ask about what you had in mind. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hey, Tobbs, 160 Roland Road Southwest. I just wanted to clarify that as a member of the park committee, we did absolutely get an email from Mr. Jackowitz explaining his situation. Looks like everyone on the committee is on this sent to list. We all got it. We're all aware. And so I just think it's unfortunate to see it going around Facebook saying, oh, it's being delayed, it's being delayed. He's clearly having personal, it says medical issues, and so I think to just put it on blast that he's not doing his job is unfortunate, because if you met him, he's an excellent guy. He's so friendly, he's so knowledgeable, and has worked so great with the Parks Committee. So I just wanted to put that out there for everyone who is questioning, does the Park Committee know what's going on? We do. We absolutely do. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Nick Weigel, 12045 Refugee Road Southwest. I just wanted to come up and say thank you guys for working towards, getting this resolution passed. And I also would like to put a little pressure on the company to get that hole filled quicker, just because it's still not done. But thank you for coming out to the house as well the last time to check on yourself. So thanks, guys.
Thank you. And I want to thank everyone tonight. I thought you did an excellent job sticking to the time constraints, and I thought we had a good decorum here tonight, so that's very much appreciated. Is there anyone else? I just want to make sure I don't cut anyone short.
You want to come up, Susan?
You'll hear from me plenty.
I'm going to move to go into executive session per Ohio Revised Code 121.22 G1, excuse me, to consider the employment of a public employee, Also to consider the disciplinary action for a public employee and to consider resignation of a public employee. Is there a second? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
We will be in at 8:05 p.m. We will have Drisha Detal. We'll have an executive session on those first two things first, and then we'll call you in later for the executive sessions. Is there a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes, we're out at 8:30 p.m. The chair will entertain a motion to hire Drisha Detal as a part-time temporary employee to begin this coming Monday. And the end date would be December, was it 14th?
She said 15.
15th. Is there a motion?
I'll,
Do we want to set the
I'll
pay?
second, and for discussion.
Mr. Evans?
I'd like to amend the motion for $18 an hour.
I'll second that amendment. Roll call on the amendment, please, if there's no discussion.
No, there is discussion. Not on the salary, but I had discussion on that.
We'll have that after the
Go
amendment.
ahead.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Okay, discussion on the main motion then?
Yes. Okay, so as I would just want to say that we're glad to have her. We are short a staff that is no longer with the township. So I felt comfortable enough that we could pull her as a resource to fill in for that person that resigned. So I just wanted to let the residents know what's going on.
Mr. Evans?
Yeah, just want to state this is just temporary for a few months to help out. I think it will help out with the new administrator and the transition with that. If it was a permanent employee, I think I would put that off to let the administrator deal with it. But again, only a few months. I think she's familiar with everything. She'll be of great help.
Yeah, she did a great job for us, but I also appreciate her interest in wanting to stay on and continue her work here and work with our other employees to give the support that we need. So, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Is there a motion to accept the resignation of John Foster from the road department?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
And is there a motion to accept the resignation of Freddie Latella as our zoning inspector?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay.
We're going to move for conference with the attorney.
Yes, could you make that?
Yeah, I'd like to move to go into executive session per ORC 121.22 G1, or I'm sorry, G3, conferences with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject to pending or imminent court action.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
We are in executive session at 8:33 p.m.
All right. Yeah, that's cool.
Is there a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
We're out of executive session at 8:50. Trustee comments?
Oh boy, sure. Just to address some of the things Mr. Ryan Davis said about the streaming. I did push for that and was blocked. And the system that was installed is so convoluted. I actually was the only one that tried to do it. Ms. McKee, who put the system in place, refuses to. She's supposed to be an IT professional, infrastructure specialist, all that. Not even an attempt. There's been a lot of things on the plate that I've dealt with this entire year. I've done the recording as a resident for 5 years at my own expense, bought a second camera at my own expense just to have a backup. So people can see the meetings because of my actions. So we'll get there. I'm very confident in Ms. Bledsoe's ability. She's got great experience with implementing IT. So I think it'll be very, very soon that we'll have that. But like I said, there's been many other issues. We've had websites that go down. We've got issue after issue after issue that need to be dealt with. Regarding Ms. Hobbs and the comment about, well, they were informed about that. The email said we're going to meet on the 1st, 8th, or the 15th. The 1st came and went. The 8th came and went. And the day before the day of is when I think it's the day of, was the email that they weren't going to meet because some members thought maybe they were meeting, or they got the email and said, oh, we had a meeting today. So there is concerns about proper communication. And one of the other things Mr. Davis mentioned was the video of putting many of the concerns that people come to me with about the lack of response. And that includes this mosquito contract. I'd like to say that there's been numerous requests for treatment and they're not being done, but one person's street is being done weekly. And everybody else is pretty much ignored. And those requests are documented, made repeatedly, and it's not being addressed. It's the quality of life here, especially for those people on Sycamore Street that are dealing with all those tires that haven't been dealt with and causing a lot of mosquitoes there. So there are a lot of ongoing issues where people come to me with even zoning violations, that why aren't these being addressed? And I try to get them addressed. And Mr. Davis said in the last meeting, well, you can just do it. No, this is a board of 3, and unless we have approval, we can't just do it legally. So I'm hamstrung most of the time. Well, what it can do is, like when the website did go down, I had that limited spending authority that I could do it, but I didn't have the password because the passwords weren't kept in-house. But I had to figure out a way, and I did, to reset that and get our service restored so people get the agendas and get that information from our site. So I'm doing quite a bit for the residents, and I know many want to attack me for different things. Mr. Steve Sly, he tried to infiltrate Mr. Burkholder's campaign and attacked him viciously. Now he's praising him. He's flip-flopped so much, and when you come to me with a proposal to pay for something, that's you can't take that on face value because you've said that previously numerous times. So it is. It's true. I'll pay for this. I'll pay for that. We've been there. So no. And as far as the zoning commission, there are issues there dealing with stuff properly that ORC requires within 5 days of them receiving the resolution to forward it on. It was delayed. When it comes back, it doesn't meet the timeline requirements. Those are the simple things. Just because nobody enforces it doesn't mean it shouldn't be done. And like I said, I'm glad the board passed the resolution to kind of move it forward here because we're in real jeopardy of not addressing these things. The reason why we have the Drayton Hall development there that are apartments or quote unquote residential hotels was because that use was in there. The prior board removed it after the fact. We should be proactive. We should be looking at this, and the LBGB and AB zoning text code was started, I believe, 3 years ago. I had asked the former zoning inspector, Mr. Burkholder also did as a resident, for drafts of what they're considering. They were never supplied. They were withheld. So I'm concerned about the constant delays, no matter what the reason, that we just need to address this stuff. I don't know. I could go on for an hour, but I'm not. But all these attacks are from people that tried to take control of the board this past election.
None of us are.
And, hey, this is my time, please.
Please, please.
And I find it ironic, it's the same people, same complaints, attack this person. Those attacking me and praising Mr. Burkholder were the same ones that were attacking Mr. Burkholder just recently. So I'm doing what's needed, and obviously there's issues. When we can't even keep a website up, when we can't even address mosquito spraying, when we can't even address, these are minutes. Minutes aren't even being reviewed or handled properly, and these are just the simple things. And I'm the bad guy for pointing this out. The board passed minutes for 6/18 that were in error, explained in error, and they still passed it, and then it was rescinded. That's nonsense. We got to do better. We're over a $10 million organization, and I know we'll do better because we brought aboard an experienced individual that's going to help us out. And people mention about, somebody said, well, I hope you give her a chance. The process that just happened could have been night and day to what happened before. Ms. Hanson previously did not submit an application to the full board. I didn't see a resume until after she was hired. I didn't see her, know about her, until she was sitting there and the resolution passed. Now, I know this is the past, but there wants to be comparisons made. So, totally different. And like I said, I hope the community, everybody, will give the new administrator a chance, and everybody in this office, because the future of this township is at stake. Whether you like me or not, it shouldn't be about the person, it should be about the policies and what's being done. And even during my campaign, I didn't attack Mr. Carlisle on anything personal. Nothing. It was all policy. All policy. Even he and his attorney were concerned that I was going to bring up the issues. I didn't. It was all policy. So you can disagree with me. You can, even the news media, put residents against Evans changing the duties. Those that spoke out were 3 Hanson family, 1 person that harassed me as a resident, and a candidate that both Mr. Burkholder and I pulled our support for after he lied to us.
You about done, Mr. Evans?
So that is the residents that spoke up. So I am done, and I actually look forward to October 7th as a new beginning for this township.
You can get some public records.
Actually, November 2025.
Ms. McKee?
Yes, sir. Okay, just want to welcome Susan to Etna Township, and I'm glad that we have an administrator that will be in the office here and to do our day-to-day business, and I know you are well capable of doing that, but I also am excited that you will be able to take care of our passwords, because we have a trustee that loves to get into people's passwords.
Yes.
So we need that, and so I know you'll do an awesome job, and I just want to appreciate you and thank you for accepting that position from the board.
I want to welcome the new administrator as well, looking forward to the future. Just brief comments, Mr. Evans. I mean, it's disappointing that maybe things don't get done perfectly, but I am working hard for the benefit of the township, and to constantly be attacked and even false statements. And I'd rather look at the positive things that are going on in Etna Township. We have the opportunity to possibly bring in over $680,000 in grants this year alone, and it's still, some of that still has to be approved in October. That's the positive thing that's going on. So I welcome, criticism, constructive criticism, But it's pretty disappointing on a holiday weekend when people are taking a break, going to a movie, maybe playing some golf, or maybe just relaxing, maybe catching up on some things around the house, that you spend the entire holiday weekend tearing other people down, tearing our commission down. I've worked extensively with the commission because there were questions on some of those text amendments. You are correct, it started a long time ago. We had comments from the prosecutor, we had comments from the Licking County Planning Commission, and the chair of the zoning commission recapped it very well, that we've gone back and forth. Mr. Olson did an extensive amount of work and met with Lance so that once we understood what they did, what we're trying to accomplish, what you wanted to see accomplished as well, that just didn't happen by accident. That took an effort. So it's a pretty sad day that instead of taking positive energy to try to fix some of these things, you spent the entire weekend tearing other people down. That's bad for the township, it's bad for the community, and my request is that we start working together, focus on the positive, and if there is something that needs corrective action, bring it forward in a positive, professional manner. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. There you go. Is there anything else? Yes.
Can I say something?
Administrative assistant, yes.
May I say something about the minute corrections?
Sure.
On 8/20, we had a correction stated that were stated.
Pull that a little closer if you would, Sal.
We had some corrections during the 8/20 meeting for the minutes. Those corrections were sent out on the 8/27 with a statement that says, here are the corrections that were shown in the 8/20 meeting. If there are any further questions, please email them to me as soon as possible so that I can get those corrected. I didn't receive corrections for those minutes until today at 5:51. So I don't want people to think that I'm not doing what's asked of me. That's just my biggest concern when I sit here and I take the notes and everything. I just want my side to be told as well. So it's just something I've been sitting on.
Let her finish. Let her finish.
You know, so sometimes it could be portrayed that, well, these corrections weren't done. Well, they were, but if there was more, I would have preferred to got them earlier than today.
Well, first, I wasn't able to review all those minutes, including the 3 additional ones, 4 additional ones, until today.
Okay.
So when I had the opportunity to send it, I sent it. However, there weren't just new errors found, there were errors that weren't there before because there were motions there, but the motions disappeared. So it's just a part, and it's part of, we have 2 other trustees that said they reviewed them that didn't, I don't believe they did because they didn't report, but
Well, I did. My
Nobody
question.
found an error on all, there was one that was corrected properly.
Well,
all I'm saying is.
Well, I went off. Let me clear this up as quickly as possible. I looked at the corrections that you sent on those 3, and I verified that those changes had been made. I'm not sure. Well, they were made. Some of them were on the motions on executive session.
Right, but others
and the
weren't.
specifics.
Others weren't, and then the corrections removed more motions is what I'm saying.
Well, my question is, Mr. Evans, what is, I know, 9 o'clock. What what process can we get these? Will you work directly and with the administrative assistant rather than us going back and forth on these errors?
What I have had, excuse me, what I have suggested, and I believe, again, once the administrator comes in and gets this implemented, we implemented the diligent system. Not fully, but one of the issues has been, and again, the administrator will correct this because she'll handle the agenda, put the motions that if it is properly input in the system, everything's there, but the problem is items aren't put in there, are just put it in the packet on our desk here, not included, information's not in there. So if we have everything in there, all the motions, it won't require someone to re-listen to the entire meeting. That's the hope, and we'll get there, but we shouldn't have open meetings minutes since June. So not saying it's your fault. It's the lack of oversight of I'm not expecting you to be perfect, but I'm expecting the board to say, hey, there's errors, and when you look, you have executive sessions and no motions, you can see there's an error, and I'm the only one pointing it out. So, I mean, if I had more time, I would have done it sooner.
Is there a motion
I'll
to
make a motion
adjourn?
to adjourn.
I'll second it. Roll call,
Mr.
please.
Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
You guys are 6 minutes.
We stand
You're doing great, Holly. Good job.